before I give you the nuts and bolts of prospecting, I want to just show you this concept, this visual concept here of how a salesperson actually chunks down their various activities day to day. And we have what's called your sales funnel here. Okay, now notice at the wide part of your funnel, this represents the number of people you start with, the actual potential prospects or number of dials you make, whatever it might be of your prospecting, right? The dials refers to how many people you can call or connect with that come into your sales funnel any given day, right? Then as you move down the funnel, you go from dials to actual connects. Then you go from connects and you get to appointments, right? You're trying to get someone on the phone to set an in-person appointment perhaps, right? Then from appointments, you end up actually sitting down, having those interviews, those in-person sits, right? And from those in-person appointments / interviews, you end up getting sales. And from there, you make a certain amount of money. Now, let me go back to the beginning again, and notice there, as you go down the funnel, it gets narrower and narrower and narrower, right? You start off with lots of people to call, lots of people that came in through your marketing campaign, and as you've been calling these people, you might never get in touch with some of the prospects. It's just the nature of the business. You're going to always get in touch with fewer and fewer people as they get into your sales funnel. Sometimes you can't get in touch with a person twice. You might get them on the phone once, but you can't get them back on the phone a second time. It's just the way it is, right? So what you have here, as you go down your sales funnel, numbers get lower and lower. For example, you might dial the phone 120 times in a week, right? Those are your outgoing calls. And from those calls, you might only connect with 40 people. And from those 40 people, you'll get maybe 8 appointments, just making up a number here as an average here, right? 8 appointments to see them in person. You have a shot of closing them, right? And this is on a 2-call system where you actually make the first call and then go back and try to close on the second call, right? And of those 8 appointments, a couple will probably cancel or simply not show up, right? So at the end of the day, you actually had 6 in-person sits or interviews where you actually could have a chance of closing this person, of doing some influence here, right? And of that, you might close a third. You might actually get 2 sales in a week. And if you're getting $2,000 net commission, this equates to $4,000 that you'd make per week, or approximately $200,000 per year. The point is that this is structured so that it all makes sense from the dials on down. But the way you actually do this is you work backwards. You reverse engineer to see how much money you want to make. See, the first thing you say to yourself is, okay, how much money really do I want to make each year? That's the first question you have to ask yourself. Start with the end in mind. And based on that, then you then figure out what your ratios are, and you work backwards. You figure out how many people you have to actually dial to get to that end point where, based on how they fall off along the way. And you keep track of all your ratios. How many people do I have to dial to actually get someone on the phone? And how many people am I actually going to get interviews with from those I speak to? You get it? You want to see what your actual percentages are. And once you know those, then you can know precisely how many dials you need to make each week to get the result you're after. Either you or an assistant or someone can actually track this stuff and simply make sure that you make 120 dials per week or new calls per week to get the exact amount of money that you want to make. It's extremely powerful once you know what your ratios are, what your numbers are here, and you work backwards to get exactly what you want. Now, when you have a chart like this, it's very important to keep track of these ratios for a period of time so you get some consistency to them. And then you know exactly what you could look for in terms of trends. And then when you see yourself falling into a slump, which all salespeople go through, you can look to see what needs to be changed. Why am I making less money? Is it that I'm not dialing the phone enough? Maybe my closing ratio has gone down. Maybe my presentation is a bit rusty. You could actually see where your problems are. And this is a very powerful tool once you know what your numbers are, because you can virtually guarantee the result you want by simply making more dials.